Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन बीबीडी फाउंडर श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की हरे कृष्णा. Welcome to Delson Mandir Shrimadbhagavatam morning class. So today we are reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, titled Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwaraka, Text 34. Let us start with invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to Delson Mandir ISKCON Detroit, Srimad Bhagavatam morning class. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwaraka, Text 34. Evam Nripanam Kshiti Bharat Janmanam Evam Nripanam Kshiti Bharat Janmanam Evam Nripanam Kshiti Bharat Janmanam Akshauhini Parivritta Tejasam Akshauhini Parivritta Tejasam Akshauhini Parivritta Tejasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yatanalam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yatanalam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yatanalam Mito Vadeno Parato Nirayudha Mito Vadeno Parato Nirayudha Mito Vadeno Parato Nirayudha. Anyone would like to repeat? Evam Nripanam Shitibhara Janmanam Akshauhini Parivritta Tejasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yathanalam Mito Vadeno Parato Nirayudha.
Evam Nripanam Shitibhara Janmanam
Evam Nripanam Shitibhara Janmanam Akshauhini Parivritta Tejasam Vidhaya Vairam Swasano Yathanalam mito vadeno parato nirayudha. Okay, let's go word by word. Evam, thus, Rapanam, of the kings or administrators,
of the kings or administrators,
Shitibhara,
Shrimadbhagavatam,
the burden of the earth, Janmanam,
Janmana,
born in that way,
born in that way,
Akshauhini,
Ashabana,
empowered by a military strength of
military strength of
horses,
horses,
elephants,
elephants,
chariots,
chariots,
and infantry,
and infantry,
Parivritta,
Parivrta,
being puffed up by such surroundings,
being pushed up by such surroundings,
Tejasam,
Tejasam,
Provis,
Provis,
Vidhaya,
Vidhaya,
having created
having created
Vairam,
Vairam,
hostility,
hostility,
Shwasana,
Swasana,
interaction of the wind,
interaction of the wind,
and the pipe plants,
and the pipe plants,
Yatha,
Yata,
as it is,
as it is,
Analam,
Analam,
fire,
fire,
Mitha,
Mita,
with one another,
with one another,
Vadena,
Radhina,
by killing them,
by killing them,
Uparatha,
Uparata,
relieved,
relieved,
Nirayuda,
Narayada,
by himself,
by himself,
without being a party to such fighting.
without being a party to such fighting.
Evam ripanam shitibhara janmanam akshau vini parivritta tejasam vidhaya vairam shwasano yathanalam mito vadeno parato nirayudha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Translation. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire. Please repeat. The Lord was
The Lord
pacified
was pacified after
killing those
killing those
kings
kings
who were burdensome
who were burdensome
to the earth.
to the earth.
They were puffed up
They were puffed up
with their military strength,
with their military strength,
their horses,
their horses,
elephants,
elephants,
chariots,
chariots,
infantry,
infantry,
etc.
etc.
He himself
He himself
was not a
hit
party
party
in the fight.
in the fight.
He simply
He simply
created hostility
created hostility
between the
between the
powerful administrators,
powerful administrators,
and they fought
and they fought
amongst themselves.
amongst themselves.
He was like
He was like
the wind
the wind,
which causes friction
which causes friction
between bamboos
between bamboos,
and so
and so
sparks
a fire.
Perfect. As stated above, the living beings are not factual enjoyers of the things which are manifested as God's creation. The Lord is the genuine proprietor and enjoyer of everything manifested in His creation. Unfortunately, influenced by the deluding energy, the living being becomes a false enjoyer under the dictation of the modes of nature. Puffed up by such a false sense of becoming God, the deluded living being increases his material strength by so many activities, and thus becomes the burden of the earth. So much so that earth becomes completely inhabitable by the same. This state of affairs is called dharmasya glanai, or misuse of the energy of the human being. When such misuse of human energy is prominent, the saner living beings become perturbed by the awkward situation created by vicious administrators, who are simply burdens of the earth, and the Lord appears by His internal potency just to save the saner section of humanity. and to elevate the burden due to the earthly administrators in different parts of the world. He does not favor either of the unwanted administrators, but by his potential power, he creates hostility between such unwanted administrators as the air creates fire in the forest by the friction of bamboos. The fire in the forest takes place automatically by the force of the air. Similarly, the hostility between different groups of politicians takes place by the unseen design of the Lord. The unwanted administrators, puffed up by false power and military strength, thus become engaged in fighting amongst themselves over ideological conflicts and so exhaust themselves of all powers. The history of the world reflects this factual will of the Lord, and it will continue to be enacted until the living beings are attached to the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, this fact is very vividly described. Bhagavad Gita 7.14. It is said, "The deluding energy is my potency, and thus it is not possible for the dependent living beings to supersede the strength of the material modes. But those who take shelter in me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can cross over the gigantic ocean of material energy. This means that no one can establish peace and prosperity in the world by fruitive activities or by speculative philosophy or ideology. The only way is to surrender unto the Supreme Lord and thus become free from the illusion of deluding energy. Unfortunately, persons who are engaged in destructive work are unable to surrender to the personality of Godhead. They are all fools of the first order. They are the lowest of the human species of life. They are robbed of their knowledge, although apparently they seem to be academically educated. They are all of demoniac mentality, always challenging the supreme power of the Lord. Those who are very materialistic, always hankering after material power and strength, are undoubtedly fools of the first order because they have no information of the living energy and being ignorant of that supreme spiritual science. They are absorbed in material science, which ends with the end of material body. They are the lowest of human beings because the human life is especially meant for re-establishing the lost relation with the Lord, and they miss this opportunity by being engaged in material activities. They are robbed of their knowledge because even after prolonged speculation, they cannot reach to the stage of knowing the personality of Godhead, the summum bonum of everything. And all of them are men of demoniac principle, and they suffer the consequences, as did such materialistic heroes as Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Devasanan Mandir, ISKCON Detroit, Shrimadbhagavatam morning class. Today is an auspicious day of Vasant Panchami, and also we have various appearance days of Acharyas like Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi appearance and Sri Raghunandana Thakura Acharya's appearance, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's appearance, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's appearance, Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi appearance. So, and I would like to just narrate a brief description on Vasant Panchami. So, this is the first day of spring in India, northern hemisphere. On the 5th day of waxing moon, one should celebrate the coming of spring to Vrindavana by offering Krishna many types of leaves and flowers and fresh shoots of sprouting grasses, things that symbolize life and new growth. Following in the footsteps of Vrajavasis of Vrindavana, one should paint designs on his Krishna's body and perform a special aratrika for him. It is appropriate to offer yellow flowers too. The Vasanta Raga should be played on this day. The deities in the temples, especially in Vrindavana, wear yellow or yellow and green on this day. We also have yellow outfit today. So, in places like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Jagannath Puri and Udupi, many of the women folk dress in yellow also. As it is the first day of spring, many fertility rites are performed at this time for the family, for the women folk, for the crops, for the cows, etc. It is very festive time. Many new projects are begun, weddings performed, fields of yellow mustard flowers growing. Local tradition is celebrated on the onset of spring. It marks the beginning of new life. Jai Shri Shri Radha Kunja Jai Viganath Jai Baladev Jai Subhadra Mai Jai Shri Shri Radha. See the yellow outfit darshan of the Sri Sri Radha Kunj Bihari on the occasion of Vasant Panchami. So, it marks the beginning of new life with yellow mustard flowers starting to bloom and nature displaying her majestic best. Thus, the color of festival is yellow and women can be seen dotted in saffron dresses. The puja on this day is devoted to Goddess Saraswati and people pray for wisdom and understanding. There are several ways in which puja is conducted on this day. In Bengal, the place where the statue of Saraswati is kept is decorated with a rangoli. The design of a fish is considered auspicious. Family members bathe early in the morning and dress in white or yellow colored clothes. Then they gather around the idol where the priest commences the puja. Aarti is taken of the idol and the flame is passed around the devotees to warm their hands and touch their foreheads. Children place their books at the goddess's feet. No books are touched that day, signifying that the books are being blessed by goddess. In Rajasthan, also the puja is conducted in a very colorful manner. The youngest girl of the house present sets the stage for the puja by putting a tika on everyone's forehead. This is followed by the devotees sprinkling water, ipun and roli on the deity. The puja ends with the lady of the house giving few bears, some sangaris and a laddu and a pan to everyone present. So this is the brief narration of Vasant Panchami on occasion of Vasant Panchami. And I would like to quote a little bit on Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's appearance here also. So Raghunath Das Goswami used to reside on the bank of Sri Radha Kund At the time, Radhakund was just a small pond of water, and therefore sometimes Raghunatha would meditate on enlarging the Kund. Then he would chastise himself for desiring something which would require a large amount of money. Around this time, one very wealthy Seth underwent great austerity by walking to Badrikashrama in the Himalayas. Arriving there, very reverently worshipped Sri Badri Narayana and offered much wealth at his lotus feet. That night, as he slept there, he had a dream in which Sri Badri Narayana instructed him to proceed to Vraja, where he should present all his wealth to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, who was residing at Aritgram. If he declines to accept it, then you can mention my name and remind him about renovating Radhakunda and Shyamakunda. That Seth was very happy to have seen such a wonderful dream, and after returning to his home, he very joyfully set out for Vraja. There, he met Raghunath Das Goswami and related all of these events to him. Raghunath Das Goswami was somewhat taken aback to hear this news, but then immediately gave his consent. Thus, Sethji began to work of redigging the two kunds. On the banks of Radhakunda, the 5 Pandavas were residing in the form of trees. As the work was proceeding, it was decided that on the following day, these trees would have to be cut down. But the night, the 5 Pandavas appeared in a dream of Raghunath Dasa and forbade the cutting of those trees. Today, they are still residing there. When the work of beautifying the kundas was complete, the devotees' bliss knew no bounds. Nearby the kundas, the kunjas of the 8 gopis were also constructed. Seeing all this, Raghunath Dasa forgot himself in ecstasy. Raghunath Das Goswami lived on the banks of Radhakunda without any fixed residence, staying under a different tree every night. Sometimes he would stay on the banks of Manasaganga, and at that time these areas were jungles filled with ferocious animals. One day, Sanatana Goswami came to the banks of Manasaganga to meet Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Before accepting his noon meal at Gopala Bhatta's Bhajan Kutir, he went to take bath at the Pavan Ghat of Manasaganga. From there, he saw 2 tigers come to the Kund and after drinking some water, saunter off. Just near that spot, Raghunath Das Goswami was sitting under a tree absorbed in his bhajana. Sanatana Goswami was startled to see this, but even more so when he saw Sri Krishna standing at some distance observing everything. He then requested Raghunatha to do this bhajana within a hut. On another occasion, Raghunath Dasa, who still hadn't bothered to have a kutir constructed, was sitting in the noonday sun absorbed in his bhajana. Srimati Radharani happened to pass that way at this time, and seeing that the sun was beating down on Raghunatha's head, she stood behind him and held the end of her sari to shield him from the sun's rays. Then one of the Goswamis came along and saw this heart-rending scene. While profuse perspiration continued to flow from Srimati Radharani's transcendental body, this time when he was again requested to do his bhajan in a kutir, he immediately agreed to comply. In Vraja, Krishna is served by Radharani and Chandravali, who each have unlimited maid servants. According to the mellows of Paramar love, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami counted himself as a maid servant of the friends of Srimati Radharani. As Chandravali is the chief competitor of Radharani, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami would never go to her kunja or talk with any of the Sakhis. Thus, he served the servants of Radharani within his mind in this way. One Brajavasi known as Sridasa Brijavasi used to bring Sridas Goswami a leaf cup of buttermilk every day. Drinking this much only, Raghunath Das would engage in bhajana throughout the day. One day, Sridas Brijavasi went to Chandravali's kunda known as Shaktistali to herd his cows. There he saw a palash tree with very large leaves, so he collected some leaves to make leaf cups. The next day, in one of the new leaf cups, he brought some buttermilk to Das Goswami. Raghunath Das accepted the leaf cup of buttermilk and inquired Sri Das Ji, where did you get this nice palash leaves? Sri Das Ji replied, while I was pasturing the cows, I came to Shaktistali and found them there. Simply hearing the word Shaktistali, Raghunath Das flew into a rage and threw the leaf cup of buttermilk away, saying, the followers of Srimati Radharani never accept anything from that place. Seeing the loyal devotion of Raghunath Dasa for Srimati Radharani, Sri Das Ji was amazed. Raghunath Das Goswami used to always serve Sri Sri Radha Govinda in his mind. One day, in his meditation, he cooked sweet rice and offered it to Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. In great pleasure, they accepted the offering, and the other Sakhis also relished this prasadam. Then Raghunath himself honored the remnants of their prasadam, and in great ecstasy, due to the pleasure of having been able to satisfy Sri Sri Radha and Radha Govinda and their loving attendants, he ate a little more than was his custom. In the afternoon, Raghunath Das used to speak about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. However, this day when devotees came in afternoon to hear him speak, they found that the door to his kutir was closed. They waited for some time, but when it appeared that there was no movement inside, they became a little anxious and called out, Goswami ji, are you all right? Sri Das Goswami answered, my body is not well. The devotees became concerned and immediately sent word to Sanatana Goswami in Mathura. At that time, Sri Sanatana Goswami was staying with Sri Vallabhacharya's son, Sri Vittalnath ji, who immediately sent 2 physicians to Radhakunda to examine Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. After checking his pulse, the doctors concluded that due to eating a combination of rice and milk, his body is feeling very heavy. Hearing this diagnosis, everyone was struck with wonder. That Raghunath Das Goswami, who subsisted on only a little buttermilk each day, should fall ill from eating too much sweet rice was astonishing, especially because it was eaten only in meditation. There are various opinions on Sri Raghunath Das Goswami's identity in Krishna Leela. Some have ascertained that he was a Rasa Manjari, some that he was Rati Manjari, while still others that he was Bhanumati. The Govardhana Shila given by Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Dasa to worship is still worshipped at Sri Gokulananda Mandira in Vrindavana. Jai Raghunath Das Goswami ki Jai. So it was very amazing to hear some of the brief pastime of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. And today is a very auspicious day. We have many appearances of Acharyas, and it's a Vasant Panchami marking the beginning of spring. So it's very auspicious, and yeah, I don't know how much I could cover this text with a long purpose today. Yeah, I'll go through translation once again. So the Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire. So here, yesterday we have seen how Supreme Lord Sri Krishna was constantly, although Lord Sri Krishna was constantly by their sides like queens, as well as exclusively alone, his feet appeared to be newer and newer. The goddess of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit the Lord's lotus feet. So that what woman can be detached from those feet having once taken shelter of them? Like not only women but everyone, like pure devotees who have taken his lotus feet shelter, they don't want to move away, or they don't want to go away from Lord. So that is that intensity of Lord's lotus feet shelter. So this text reveals here how the earth, Bhumi Devi, becomes overburdened by various proud and administrators, militaristic rulers, and power hunger kings. And Krishna's mission here was not to political reform or something, not moral lecturing, but restoration of dharma by removing these false enjoyers. And even in Bhagavad Gita in 4.7 he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. So he appears like to establish dharma and religious principles millennium after millennium. So the main key theme of this verse is the false proprietorship, false pride leads to conflicts and self-destruction. So if we have this mentality of ego, like false ego, false pride, it not only harms others, but first of all it affects your own character, your own degradation, and you don't follow any rules and regulations of the society, as well as even in your spiritual life. Even if someone instructs you to do some small little thing, if you have that false ego, you say like, oh, I have to do that assignment given by other person. Who is that person to order me? Something like that. So you will be responsible for your self-degradation with your false ego. So here, the Lord in the purport it is stated like, He is the Bhokta, the only enjoyer, and Ishvara, the proprietor. As we see in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. So He is the one, Krishna is the one who is the ultimate enjoyer. And we all know, like, we are all the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and our eternal position is to serve the Supreme Lord in every possible way, and we are to be controlled, and He is the ultimate controller upon us, all of us. But we conditioned souls become puffed up, this parivritta tejasam, and because we measure our success, like these kings measure their success by having this much army, that much wealth, this much kingdom, and what's your influence, like how much you are influencing other kings, other rulers, other politicians or something, and how much are you able to influence, how much wealth you have, what's your background. So in our current society, we measure up using this parameters, but that's not the scenario. How it be an ideal thing. How much sincere you are in your devotional service, how much you are surrendering on to Supreme Lord, that matters, because these all parameters, one day it vanishes with the material body and material world annihilation. These are all temporary. Even this material world itself is temporary. It goes on for creating and again destroying creation. It goes on a life cycle. So in that material world, how much insignificant are we, like taking births after birth after birth? So we have to understand, like, this is not our true position, and this is not our true place to reside, and we have to strive to be in a constant service of the Lord wherever we are. Like, even if Lord wants to place us in this material world, we have to just pray for Lord, like, oh Lord, please let me engage in your service. Please allow me to do your service more and more constantly, so that I will be realised with that experience by experiencing the service more. So here a small analogy is like tenant acting like the landlord. It's the false ownership. So sometimes some tenants, like if we give our house or property to rent or something, not all people are good or behave properly. When we are away and when we give our whole property to them, they might, due to some influence or due to some other fellow being associations or not, so they try to change or modify something, even though they don't have any right on that property. They are just residing in that property, but they don't have any rights to reconstruct it or renovate it something, or that whole demolishing that building and constructing something new out of it. So, and claiming, one day they might even claim like, oh, this is my house, I have been residing for last 5-6 years, so I want to claim this is my house. And they even try to send some legal notices to the owners itself, like claiming, oh, this is my property, do not enter, something like that. So similarly, in this world itself, this is not our true home. This is just a place of miseries and temporary. So always gives us sadder, like sufferings after sufferings, problem after problem, problem after problem. But we have to come to an understanding, like we are soul, we are part and parcel of Krishna. What is my position? What I have to do in order to gain that position of eternal servitor? So we have to strive in that path. So Krishna, he simply waits for us to turn towards him, and he eagerly waits for each and every one of us to turn towards him. And whenever a soul turns towards Paramatma, and Paramatma knows what you are thinking, so Paramatma makes it easier for you to realize that path. And even if there are any obstacles, he will try to remove it. And if you try to follow sincerely the path, he will try to reveal him more and more towards you. So if you take one step towards him, he will take hundreds and hundreds of steps towards you. So we just have to endeavor little steps, little service, or whatever little endeavors you can do to please the Lord. So one more analogy that is being mentioned in this translation and purport is like bamboo forest analogy. So we see sometimes like forest wildfires. Out of nowhere the fire gets up. It's due to the friction caused due to the wind when the wind passes through some bamboo woods. Suddenly within the bamboo woods only, like suddenly due to wind, both bamboo woods get friction, and suddenly the little fire also can start. If it starts even little, it can burn the whole forest. We see like a few months back, we have seen how in California, how the wildfires are being spread out, and it was on a massive scale. So here, why this analogy is brought up, because here he says like Krishna himself was not a party in the fight. He just simply created a hostility between the powerful administrators, and so that they fought among themselves. And he was like the wind which causes friction between the bamboos and so sparks a fire. So that was the ultimate plan of Krishna. So Krishna creates condition, material nature executes reactions. So because he says in Bhagavad Gita 7.14 also, Maya Adhyakshena Prakritis Suyate Characharam. So this Maya or material energy is the agent of Krishna. Whatever Krishna orders, this Maya just follows his order, Krishna's order. So whenever a soul or person is rebellious against Krishna, like he is not following Krishna, like whatever Krishna desires or whatever is pleased for the Krishna, whenever that he is rebellious towards him, then Maya, in her own way, she tests that person, she gives suffering after suffering. At least after a point of time, that soul has to understand why I am suffering in this material world, what is the reason behind my suffering. So that is the reason, like Maya Devi gives us suffering after suffering, but still the suffering is done, after we'll enjoy for some time, and again suffering and problem comes. And again, if you try to solve that problem, again after a few days, the problem will be completed, and again new problem will come. So problem after problem after problem. So this, how also Lord acts, like he creates hostility among egoistic leaders. So their own pride becomes their enemy, because when someone like the third person comes to you and say, "Oh Prabhu, do you know that Prabhu had said something about you?" And that might be true or that might not be true, but you hear that and you believe suddenly. Like a normal person, you say you just speculate on this. Oh, why did he say about this one? Okay, is it true? You will not speak to that person directly, but you try to think like, oh, why did he say about this? And you also, on a sudden reaction, you also say something to that third person, and that fight becomes like too much and creates a havoc for both of you. So, like usually in devotee circle, it will not happen, and because due to the association of saintly persons and senior devotees, even though if a small little conflicts will come, but still they will be able to resolve by sitting together and by discussing among themselves and the advice of senior devotees and spiritual masters and all that's. But in the case of normal people outside society, it quite happens, and it's like a daily, day to day, on a day to day progress. You will see somehow or other, whenever you try to see in a group of people, it will happen sometime or other, and it is due to our false ego and pride. What happens if you encounter that situation? You could just go to that respective person. Did you say something like this? So that person may say, "Oh, I did not say like this." There itself the issue gets closed. But due to our false ego and false pride, "Oh, why did that person say this to me? I have to do something." So then it causes more and more karma to you and more suffering to that person, and it creates a very great trouble. So, in that way, they exhaust wealth, power, influence, and life even sometimes. So, sometimes they spend their wealth in it, they spend their power in it, they spend their influence by asking them that person, this person. Sometimes this may lead to big wars and completely life is being destroyed out of it. So today, as it's time is ticking, I just want to directly go over to the key takeaways from this verse. The first one is power without surrender becomes poison, because strength without humility leads to destruction. And second one is ego creates its own enemy. The Lord doesn't destroy us. He is not very cruel or something. He doesn't want. In order, we had a desire to enjoy by serving our own senses. So that's why we are put into this material world, place of miseries. But still, Lord comes with us as Paramatma. He tries to, He waits and waits anxiously for that soul to turn towards Him. So He is very compassionate. He is very merciful upon us. But our false ego creates the enemy within us, and whenever our anger or false ego strikes within us, that in turn kills us, our character and our own perspectives and our own relations with others. Then next is the surrender is the only safety. It is not an ideology or it is not dominance, but it is the ultimate shelter at the Krishna's lotus feet, Sri Radha Kund Vihari's lotus feet. And the last takeaway from this, there are many takeaways, but for today it's the fourth one is devotional life is the real peace formula. So everyone, if we individually surrender, it creates a societal harmony. And imagine a society or even a street or even a community of whole devotees, how peaceful, how happy the community will be, and how wealthy with the Krishna's power, and how eagerly the devotees will be enjoying to serve Krishna, and how lovingly they associate with each other, and they warmly welcome each other, they try to reciprocate their love within each other, and they serve the Supreme Lord with a great humble nature. So Bhakti is not escapism. Bhakti is ultimate realism, and it's a ultimate path towards the Krishna. It's the easiest path. Like we see in the Bhagavad Gita as Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Apart from those all, Bhakti Yoga is the simple and easiest method to reach God, and it's an assured method to reach Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, by this, I would like to conclude today's text. And if you have any doubts, any questions, and please forgive me if I misspoke anything.
Wow.
I was listening to a lecture yesterday about devotional service, and so basically they were talking about, like, you know how sometimes service gets glorified. Oh, you did such a wonderful job. Like, there's so much glorification. And this garlic is beautiful, and this is like was so tasty, or whatever it may be, and stuff like that. If we don't return the glorification, then it's the ultimate downfall of the devotee. In the sense that, like, you know, you were saying and stuff like that, like you become puffed up, right? You don't even realize it, but then the ego starts going, yeah, well, I'm the best of this devotee or whatever. So even in devotee community, we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So they say, like, when you receive glorification of service, which is natural, you know, like most devotees will glorify like the service, but you take that glorification and you return it back. So you return it to someone, to something, to whatever the situation may be. You return it back to your spiritual master. You have to do in some way. You have to, like, release.
Oh, so you don't become puffed up.
Yeah.
Because of false ego.
Yeah. So your ego doesn't get puffed up and so forth. Because they say, like, and as you progress in spiritual life, sometimes it becomes like you get more and more glorification, right? And stuff. Sometimes that happens and stuff. And if you don't return it, then that's the downfall. So when you see leaders downfall, sometimes it's due to this. I mean, it can be due to many things, but like that's one of the reasons for the downfall. So just in the sense of building humility and so on, I think that was very interesting. So
because if we constantly get that glorification, sometimes we expect more and more glorification. If in the service, like if you don't get glorification, you will be getting little disappointment, frustration. Oh, why no one has recognized my service? Now what happened? And you will be losing the taste for service itself sometimes. So it is, even I heard in one lecture, like it is advisable not to expect glorification first, because you are serving the Supreme Lord, and it's a service you are doing. It's not something materialistic or something like you are doing some work outside or you are getting some compensation to it. And you are serving Supreme Lord. That's our eternal position as a supreme, as a soul. That's our that's our duty and responsibility in serving Supreme Lord in a very pleasing way. And but if you see any devotees like doing an extraordinary work or doing whatever, even if the new devotees, they were starting engaging in the service with you, you have to encourage them, you have to glorify them, because they should feel the encouraging environment, so that they will come more often and they will try to engage more and more in the service of Sri Radha Kunj Bihari. So we have to be more encouraging towards the new people, or even if, sometimes every time, like, it is good way to appreciate others rather expecting appreciation for yourself, because it's just the kind of what you give encouragement or a motivation to other people to do more service, and in a very good manner and in a very pleasing manner to Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So yeah, that's a good point.
It's important whether you're new or not.
Yes.
It's important to receive appreciation, right? Because everyone wants to be appreciated somehow or another. That is always there. But then it's the responsibility of the devotee to take that appreciation, but then give it to who it belongs to.
Immediately, if I talk example, like if you get some glorification for your service, you can just give it back to all glories to Sri Guru and Governor, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas who give the opportunity for us to render service here. So in turn you are giving that appreciation to, you are passing that appreciation to Guru Parampara and all the Vaishnavas, so that you will be in a humble state of mind, hopefully.
I also thought it was very interesting with all these political, like the wind, which causes affliction, like Krishna. Like, so two things there, like, with all this stuff happening right now in the political environment, I don't know if everyone hears about the Greenland and all that stuff. Like, no one really owns Greenland, because if you think about who the proprietor is, right, it's the Lord, right?
Yes.
He's the proprietor of every single thing in this world and stuff. And yeah, you see all these, like, world leaders
Clashes.
and stuff. I'm like, how exhausting. And it's like, all this stuff that Srila Prabhupada writes is so relevant even to this
Today,
like,
today
he
it
doesn't know, you know, when he wrote this, Greenland wasn't happening, right? Like, so, I just think it's very funny. Like, I mean, this is the glory of Srila Prabhupada, like, you know, and stuff like that. And then it's interesting because in Hawaii, they have bamboo forests. And we actually had an opportunity to visit one, and we walked through the bamboo forest. I mean, you can hear them like hitting against each other. I mean, it was literally like thousands and thousands of sticks like hitting against each other and stuff. So I have a recording of it somewhere, but like it was very interesting because yes, it is like a high risk of fire, you know, in those areas. So they have to like, clean these bamboo forests out, so it doesn't cause like fires and stuff like that. But I mean, just like one breeze in here, I just like literally like walking through. So, but yeah, it's such a wonderful example of like it's given here. So I'm always from here. Thank you very much.
You get very nice talk, AJ.
Thank you. Granthraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki